Hello guys, welcome back to another video here. Today we'll be taking a look at Winter Storm Ivy as it moves away from the country here, and another New Year's Day storm that's going to affect 2/3 of the country pretty much. As you can see here, up in the north you see snow pretty much on the ground. You could tell it's snow by its white stuff that is not moving, unlike this stuff down here. This is clouds moving towards the northeast as the storm makes its way to the northeast. But all this isn't moving, so you have snow all the way back from California, Utah, parts of New Mexico, almost all of Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, and even up into Michigan and Minnesota and Wisconsin. This snowstorm dropped a lot of snow in for Iowa, surprisingly. Some parts of Des Moines saw up to over a foot actually, but the snow did end there quite early. If that storm did go on for a couple more hours, you could have exceeded 14, 15 inches here. But there was still a pretty good snowstorm for parts of the Midwest. Southern Minnesota looks like to have gotten a lot of snow, and parts of northern Missouri has gotten some snow that has stayed and hasn't washed away from the rain, at least for now. If we take a look at the National Weather Service here, you can see they dropped all the winter weather advisories and warnings up for the Midwest here. But they are starting to expand winter storm watches for the South and flood warnings, I believe these are, for parts of Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, just almost in Louisiana. But if you go back into Texas, there's a big amount of winter storm watches, warnings, and advisories over by the parts of New Mexico and Texas border. If you take a look into the Northeast, you have winter weather advisories for this upcoming snowstorm that's going to happen pretty much today. And back into Pennsylvania, you have winter weather watches for this next system that's going to happen on New Year's Day, because there looks like to be a lot of ice with this system that's going to affect a majority of the country. If you take a look into the west here, you can see you have winter weather advisories up for the mountain areas and parts of Idaho and parts of Montana. And you do have winter storm warnings for higher elevations due to that system. If we take a look at the GFS here, you can see you have the storm system, Winter Storm Ivy, starting to move out. This storm is also going to bring down cold air that's going to bleed some snowfall from parts of central New York and parts of the Northeast as this cold front slides down south. This cold front will start to form a low pressure system, which is already starting to happen in central Mexico, which will go straight up into the country, but due to the blocking high that's up here, the negative NAO, it would skirmish off to the east, causing Maine and parts of the higher elevation states could get a significant amount of snowfall here. If we continue with the GFS here, with the next couple slides, you can see that the storm starts to move towards the east. The coast gets to see some rain, but if you go inland, it starts to snow. Rain changing to snow here. But if you go down into the south, you can see you have a low pressure system just starting to form off the coast of Texas, and it's already starting to snow in parts of western Texas here. You have a high pressure system that is bringing down the cold air, allowing that snow to happen in parts of Texas. And then you have, again, the rain changing over the snow, some mix, some ice in parts of Ohio. But that's pretty much it for now. But if you continue, as shown by the GFS, the storm starts to intensify and makes its way up into the north. As for now, the snow looks to dissipate in parts of Texas, but as the storm makes its way more north, the high pressure up in the east starts to bring down more cold air. At least on this run, it looks like to be a little bit more ice each run, which is not a good thing you want to see. On the northern western flank of this system, it looks like to be snow, but at least on this run, it doesn't look to be that much. But I do think the GFS will come back on being a little bit more snow on that. But then again, you do have a low pressure system in parts of Missouri that is going to make its way into the east. And then again, you have a significant amount of ice threat right through in this area. This could be a significant ice storm. This could be a significant power outage storm that nobody wants to deal with on New Year's Day. But then again, this storm does make its way into the northeast, and then it does start out as snow for some parts of New Hampshire and New York, but that goes over to rain. And then the only place in the northeast will stay as all snow will be northern Maine, because due to the cold air up here, it will drag more and more cold air down south. But after this storm, it looks like there's a storm that will form right after that that could give the Northeast some snow. Now the question is, does this storm stay a little bit offshore so the coast could see snow, or will it come back inland and give the inland northeast states more snow? If we take a look at the Canadian here, it has the same thing as the GFS. It has a low pressure system moving out, your cold front coming down to the south, and your low pressure system will form down here. As you continue, it doesn't have as much snow as the GFS does for the Northeast. It has rain, but maybe flurries coming off the lakes, but no significant snow like the GFS was showing. But this Canadian does have more snow in parts of Texas than the GFS. It has it being a little bit more colder and a little bit more icier in parts of Missouri and even into parts of Arkansas. And Oklahoma could see rain changing to snow once again, especially the farther west you go. But then again, the Canadian does have a bit more ice in parts of Illinois, Indiana, and parts of Michigan. Meanwhile, has less ice in parts of the Northeast here. It actually has heavy snowfall for parts of Missouri here that goes up into northern Illinois, just north of Chicago, and then the storm system moves its way off to the east. Now, the Canadian wants to offer more snow for the Northeast, more northern New York, northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and almost all of Maine could see just plain old snow. But the storm after that, which all the models pretty much show now at this point, have it a little bit more closer and intense, causing the coast to be all rain, and then inland states could have a significant amount of snowfall here. If we take a look at the total snowfall here, you can see that it has, let's go rewind a little bit, it has a significant amount of snowfall for Texas here. Over a foot and possibly close to 16 inches in parts of higher elevation in Texas. If you make your way more north, central Oklahoma could see up to 8-10 inches, and as you go more north, that totals looks like to go less and less due to a more ice event as you go more north. But at least if you go in the northeast, it has multiple inches of snow, maybe even several inches of snow, some parts of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and northern New York. If you take a quick look at the GFS here, it has pretty much the same thing, but more snow for Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Illinois, but less snow for Texas here. If we take a look at the NAM here, which is a short range model that is really good and starting to come out now, so we could take a look at the new model run and the old one and compare them. You could see that the storm and that sliding off to the east doesn't produce a quick enough rain changing to snow event, so it does agree with the Canadian, but it does have a little bit more snow than the Canadian, but then again, not as much. You have rain at the coast, and then you have the storm coming up into the north, and then the rain changing to snow in Texas, which could drop several inches. Now, if we go back to the previous run, this is the previous run, and then if you take a look at the new run, you can see that it has a little bit more precipitation, but the storm has shifted a little bit west, at least on the new run. And if you go all the way out to 39 hours, you can see the high pressure is sitting on the border of Pennsylvania and New York. And then if you compare it to the last couple runs, the storm is a little bit more south and a bit more colder, in fact, and some parts of Oklahoma, Texas, and even into some parts of Missouri here. But since we don't have a far enough range on that model, we'll just continue with the old one. You can see that it starts out as freezing rains from all parts of Chicago and northern Illinois and Iowa, but that quickly goes over the rain, at least in parts of northern Illinois, but Iowa goes over the snow. And if you take a look into the northeast, you have a freezing rain sleet event going on for most of Pennsylvania, but as the day goes on, that quickly changes over the rain. But it does agree somewhat with the Canadian keeping the most northern parts all mixed precipitation, I guess you could say, and no rain. It could be freezing rain at times, it shows from the NAM, but it pretty much shows all snow. Now, this is the second system that's going to come January 4th. It's not far enough out, but it looks like it wants to combine the two fronts here. Now, the question is, does it phase and cause the storm go more inland, or does it not phase and cause the storm to go a little bit more out to sea, causing maybe some snow at the coast? Now, if we take a look at snow totals here, if we wind up, because I do not want to get that storm involved with this, you can see it does give Texas 16-17 inches. This is a major snow event for it looks to be for Texas, but I don't think Texas will exceed 2 feet as of now. But if you go up more north Oklahoma, Kansas, you could see possibly 8, maybe even 12 inches shown by the NAM, but if you go more north, it shows less and less because it looks to be more of an ice event for that storm. If you take a look in east, it does produce 12-inch marks some parts of central New York parts. It looks to be just west of Albany and just south of Albany. And if you make your way more into Maine and into the northeast, the totals will increase due to the higher elevation and the cold air will stick around. If we take a look at the European here, you can see it's all the models do have the storm moving out, and it does have it does agree with the NAM and the CMC model, also known as the Canadian, having less snow, rain changing to snow here, and it does have the storm being a lot more colder than a lot of the models. In Texas, it's a majority of a snowstorm, so parts of western Texas, and as it makes its way up into Oklahoma, it does have heavy snow, changing rain changing to snow, and heavy at times show this very pink and dark blue colors right here. That is heavy snow. This purple is mixed precipitation, and this orangish brown color is freezing rain. If you continue here, you can see that so some northern parts of Missouri and southern parts of Iowa do get into heavy snowfall, at least shown by the European. And then as the storm makes its way out, it does keep northern New York all snow. And for the next system, it does want to bring this storm more wrapped up and closer to the coast, causing more inland states to have heavier snow, such as Maine and parts of inland New York and Vermont. If we take a look at the snow total shown by the European here, you can see that the European does produce 26 inches of snow for parts of Texas. Now, if that trend does continue to bump up their totals, maybe I will have to agree with 24 inches, but as of right now, I really do disagree with that. Now, the snow for at least shown by the European here for parts of Ohio and Missouri is 6 to maybe 8 inches, pockets of that. But inland Maine, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire is possibly a range from 5 to maybe 12 inches of snow here, depending on your elevation. This is my snowfall map as of right now, as of 12/30/2020. Only a couple more days until the new year, thank God. Anywhere from the light blue color that stretches all the way down from southern Texas all the way up into Maine, you could expect 1 to 3 inches. Anywhere in this dark blue is 3 to 5 inches that stretches from Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, and it skips Michigan because it looks like to be a mostly rain and freezing rain event as you go more and more north. But as you make its way to the northeast, the storm will get suppressed and move more easterly than north. So inland New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine could see 3 to 5, and anywhere in this purple area could see 5 to 8 inches, and that's pockets of Iowa, Missouri, and pockets of Kansas and Oklahoma. Now in Texas, this looks like to be a possible major snow event here. This area just south of Odessa, if I said that wrong, I apologize, but this looks like to be a major snowstorm there, so they could exceed 12 inches. Now, the question is, what's their roof? What's the highest that they could go? It really all depends on how heavy the snow comes down, how little mixing you get, and depends on your highest elevation. As of right now, the highest totals I've been seeing is 26, and that's from the European. But so I'll give you your highest roof, take off a couple inches, maybe 24, 22 inches as of now. I hope you all had a great day and enjoy your holidays.